Welcome to Blue Jays Republic TV. I'm Dale Manukduk with the king of ankle cleavage himself, Cameron Durrett, the best-looking man west of the 427, Dalton Finkbeiner, and Mike DeCourcy with a clean, fresh, hot shave. We're going to talk about the Toronto Blue Jays, look back at their series against the Los Angeles Angels, look ahead to their series against the St. Louis Cardinals, which starts tonight. We're taping this at 5 o'clock, so that game might be over by then. But we're also going to take a whip around the league and talk some big picture Blue Jays stuff. So guys, the Blue Jays, they've climbed their way back to 5-14, the worst record in the majors.
You know what? It's not all bad. For starters, it's the first series they haven't lost. They finished 2-2, so that's encouraging on some level. Second of all, the bats got going, and both those wins they combined for 14 runs. So there's some encouraging signs. They survived a start from Matt Latos. They have another one coming up, but we'll get to that in a minute. And so, are things turning around at the speed we want them to? No. Are there good signs? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they're still in the same place they went into the Angels series. They're the worst team in the league, and they have a very big hole to dig out of.
Fine,
Again, there were some positive signs, but you have last night. It's a 2-1 game. They have 2 runners on, chance to win. Go ahead and
win a series.
Yeah, and they can't get it done.
Yeah.
So I think, as Cam pointed out, it's pretty clear that when this team scores runs, that's going to maybe be the formula for this team. Even though they're built on pitching, it looks like they're going to need their run support. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to win those close games. We talked about it. You saw Kevin Pillar get thrown out on that steal.
Oh my God!
They just don't have that.
Close.
They don't have that small ball versatility, and that's what I think is going to doom them. Is that they have to win with the big bats, and they just might not have the big bats anymore.
Yeah, that's just not going to doom them this year.
Yeah.
That's been their problem for a few seasons now.
Yeah, both these guys touched on it. I mean, we're right back where we were heading into the series. They can't advance runners. Their pitching is great, but they're wasting it by not getting enough runs. And essentially, at 5-14, bottom of the basement with the Orioles, the Yankees, and Red Sox all doing their part. With
It doesn't
the
help
Red
that they
Sox
can't beat the Rays either.
Right,
Just
exactly.
on their own.
They've
when
got
that
a series
happens.
coming up. And they're going in there and they lose there all the time. But the Red Sox got David Price coming back, so they're only going to get better. And essentially, the season's over.
Yeah.
The season's over.
You're not the only one that thinks that, right, Buster Only?
Yeah, he said that too. And then it's what we were talking about. Does this team rebuild? With this start, you might be forced to answer that question a little sooner than later. They're probably going to play it out with when Josh Donaldson and Troy Tulowitzki come back. But if you're still in last place as it gets closer to June, do you make your move or do you bring the band back together next year?
You make the move now. Make it as soon as you can. AL East is a bloodbath, and you can't be 9 games under 500 at this point in the season, and that's unfortunately where the Jays are. It's time to rebuild. They're getting only older, and unless you want to spend the money on keeping Josh Donaldson around, on keeping guys like Troy Tulowitzki around who just gets older and more hurts, it's time to rebuild. I hate to say it. It's time.
Yeah, but forget about Troy Tulowitzki, Russell Martin, Bautista, and we're focusing on Josh Donaldson.
On Josh Donaldson.
You're focusing on a top 5 player in all of baseball.
And why would he
MVP.
stick around?
Yeah.
Why would he stick around if in a year? I mean,
Money.
there's nothing.
It's always money.
You don't think there's another team out there that'll gladly pay him $20+ million to play for their team? I mean, the Jays. I mean, usually you wait until the All-Star break. If you're around 500, you keep together and you hope that you can go on a run near the end of the season. But in this case, with this team right now, I would probably push the eject button now.
Yeah, look, I get it. I mean, you trade Josh Donaldson, you're going to restock your cover for 5 years.
He's the key. If you want to rebuild, you trade Josh Donaldson. If you don't want to rebuild, you pay Josh Donaldson. But if you can't, you can't let Josh Donaldson walk or not pay him and can keep the same core. You have to do one or the other. So he's the swing. You either rebuild and get rid of him, take all that haul, or not.
And the Jays have done this before. I mean, they had Holiday and they waited and then they traded him. They had Delgado and did nothing and then just watched him walk away and get paid big time bucks with the Mets. So I think now, Josh Donaldson, why would you stick around? I don't understand why you would play in this market who is going to rebuild.
We've just never seen anything like it, though. There's 2 years back-to-back big, deep and important playoff runs for the city that Donaldson and the rest of this pretty much identical team, minus Edwin as the big name that comes to mind. And that has got to be something that's what's so strange about this situation is thinking, but we were just there. So I could see Donaldson wanting to stay around in the hopes that repeats itself, but I still think you need to get rid of him.
And they've got no farm system. They spent they gave away a majority of it to get David Price a couple of years ago from the Tigers with Norris, and you know, so I think you need to kind of restock the shelves and just, you know,
take your lumps.
You look down the road and you look at the other teams in that division. The Jays are getting worse and the other team's getting better. So it's time to, you know,
Farm
reboot.
systems ranked in the bottom half of the league, and that's where Mark Shapiro has experience making these big-time trades. You know, he made a trade in Cleveland. He traded Bartolo Colon, got back some guys like Cliff Lee. So he's used to dealing these big-time players. So that is a good thing that with a guy like Mark Shapiro in charge, he might be comfortable making that big-time deal.
Well, not just comfortable. Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins, they might be happy about this situation because now they have an opportunity to actually put their fingerprints on this ball club. Because it's really still Anthopoulos' team.
Absolutely, and they were brought in to handle a smaller budget team. They've used that smaller budget before, and we've seen it. So maybe they're not happy. I wouldn't go that far, but at the very least, if you're going to start the rebuilding phase, which you should, you have two guys who are comfortable doing it and who are in the right spot to get it done.
Yeah, beating the Angels is really not even beating them. Splitting the series, drawing the series 2-2 feels like a win for the Blue Jays, but the Angels suck. The Angels suck.
Are starting to figure it out though. And they do not suck.
They do
and
not
that
suck.
is a tough place to.
And that's the thing, right? The Cardinals had a really rough start to the season, and they've turned it around. And the Blue Jays, they have just as much talent as them. That talent is injured, mind you.
Yeah, left side of the infield's out.
Yeah. Russell Martin is playing third base tonight as just to see how far these lineup changes have gone. I mean, that could be to keep his bat in the lineup. It could be for numerous occasions. Maybe Saltalamacchia needs to get hot at the plate. I don't know, but it's a testament to how shallow this team is right now. And now you're going into St. Louis trying still to win your first series of the season.
Yeah, Dalton, you talked about it. They have a murderer's row of pitchers coming up.
Yeah, exactly. They have to face Carlos Martinez, who's their ace. He's 0-3, but he's a strikeout artist. You got Wainwright as well, and then you have Waka tonight. So there's three guys, experienced pitchers, two of them, and Martinez is looking like he's going to be a stud. So not a lot of guys have faced Martinez, so that was a bit interesting. But, you know, the Cardinals, they've won 6 of 7, and, you know, Mike, you've always talked about this. The Cardinals are just one of those organizations that they figure it out. And the Jays can, you know, take some solace in the fact that the Cardinals have figured it out, and they are maybe they'll be able to turn around.
Looking in the mirror.
Exactly.
Right? Draw some inspiration.
But in the NL, it's going to be weird to see what they do with Smoke and Morales, and it's going to be interesting if John Gibbons can not get ejected from the game, stay in, make some adjustments. I don't know what he's going to do.
But also, I mean, I don't know who makes the Major League Baseball schedule, but the Jays finished up last night at 1:12 a.m. Eastern time. They got to hop a flight and then go into St. Louis, and they're probably getting in there when the sun's coming up.
Probably
now you got to
Adam
play.
Silver making the
Yeah.
But I
mastermind.
mean, now you got to get some rest and then go play a night game against the St. Louis Cardinals. Awesome.
Tough place to play.
Well, I mean, the thing about playing the Cardinals, though, is that you do have a chance to maybe turn it around. They have improved their pitching as of late. They were 23rd in the league in ERA last week. They're 17th this week. They're starting to climb their way out of the bottom half of the league there. And last week, they were dead last in runs scored. Now, second last.
8 baby steps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Little by little.
That's great news, and we expect the runs to come around. The more unfortunate news is that Casey Lawrence and Matt Latos are probably going to start 2 of these games in St. Louis again. So you hope that you get a win with Marco Estrada tonight, and then hope the bats pick up enough and in time to rescue themselves from another 2 sketchy starts, as we saw Lawrence and Latos. Give Lawrence credit, though. He gave up that grand slam, and the Jays almost came back to win that game against the Angels. So the kid can obviously pitch and knows what it takes to at least stay in for the length that Gibbons and the rest of the staff expect. It's almost done. It's looking good.
BJ, how much longer is our boy got?
I gotta do one more quick pass.
You're even handsomer than I thought you would.
I'm gonna go like one more hot towel.
Oh yeah. No problem. They're gonna call you the bombing beach boy. Right. Boardwalk.
No.